and welcome to this edition of Money Talks. A local businessman keeps his promise to fund research toward finding a cure for the cancer that ended his father's life. That story and much more when we come back. Hello, I'm Ed Marshall, money coach and host of the Money Talk Show. Our goal each month is to keep you informed on financial issues affecting you and your family. Whether it's concerns about the stock market, mortgages, local community initiatives, or decisions made on Capitol Hill, we do our best to bring you news that you can use. So join me for Money Talks every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. right here on WLAE. Welcome back to Money Talks. The name Al Copeland Sr. Is a legend not only in New Orleans, but across the world. Of course, he was an entrepreneur who made the name with that wonderful Popeye's chicken and, of course, the Copeland industry. And he lost his life, of course, at age 64, unfortunately, to a disorder, a cancer, the mercantile cell carcinoma. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. If not, I have someone in the studio who can help me with that. And that is the director of the Al Copeland Foundation, Kathleen Thomas. And Kathleen's here because Al Copeland Jr. Could not be here today, and he was very disappointed that he couldn't be here, but you know, with that kind of business, it took him out of town. But he promised his dad that they were going to keep working on trials and giving money to research and raising money for research until they found something that could arrest this disorder. And joining me now to tell us more about that is Miss Kathleen Thomas. Kathleen, and before we get into that, I have to congratulate you on your baby, 16 months old.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, tell us about the Copeland Foundation, and of course, I'm on the board of the LSU Foundation, the Science Foundation, with Al Jr., and we, of course, work very hard trying to raise funds for research. So he made that promise to his dad, and he kept it.
He did. He made the promise actually before his dad passed away, with his entire family behind him to make the promise. And we fought really hard and raised a lot of money and helped LSU build the program for immunotherapy trials and clinical trials. And we got the great news that we could get a clinical trial for Merkel cell, which is what Big Al had. Mm-hmm. And fortunately for us, the immunotherapy clinical trials had phenomenal results. And we got to say what we say now is promise delivered, mm-hmm. Which is a great thing for a son to say about his dad and a family about their dad, that the promise was delivered. He also says if his dad was around today with Merkel cell, that he could be the patient that got the treatment and was still living and, you know, frying up chicken on the weekends.
Right. Well, what's good is that, you know, it's been able to, the trials have led to this disease being able, the cancer being able to be arrested, and they're still doing some more work on it. And what's really neat is that we're joined by via phone from Florida, one of our LSU fantastic pediatric doctors, Dr. Alfonso Vargas, and I tracked him down with his family in Florida, and he said, I will graciously do the interview over the phone. Dr. Vargas, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so very much. Good morning in your place. Good afternoon here.
Good morning to you. And Dr. Vargas, you know, you came down with this same type of cancer. What must have gone through your head?
Well, three things happened. Number one, I have a spontaneous nose bleeding, so my ear, nose, and throat very quickly detected a problem that turned out to be, by imaging, some kind of tumors in my maxillary sinuses. Mm-hmm. When the biopsy was taken, it proved to be what they call a neuroendocrine type cancer, identified later on in the next few weeks as Merkel cell carcinoma. And that I knew it was a very lethal disorder who has no treatment. I'm talking about 2016, second half of 2016 in October. Mm-hmm. The doctor told me, you have a cancer, there is no cure for it, there is no treatment that has been proven effective, and it's more malignant. It's the same family, but more malignant than melanoma. So it normally kills patients in a course of a year or so.
Oh, my goodness.
Some more, some less, but the average is 9 months to 12 months.
And you're now in
survival rate.
2019, so that's been, what, 4 years or three?
Three
years.
years ago, exactly.
Yeah.
3 years ago, exactly. And it turned out to be that the head of the cancer center, the Stanley Scott Cancer Center at LSU, Dr. Augusto Ochoa, that I'm sure you know.
Yes, sir.
Came to me. He's a good friend. We had been working together for over 20-some years. And he tells me, I'd like you to be a participant. If you qualified, because we have to do some further studies,
Sure.
LSU Cancer Center, LSU Health Science Center, just entered with the Copeland Foundation support and philanthropic help. We acquired the equipment to be participants of the National Cancer Institute and the University of Washington and Seattle and 11 other centers in the United States, where LSU was the last one to enter, were part of this clinical trial for merkel cell carcinoma with a medication called pembrolizumab.
And you took this.
What happened is.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So tell us what happened. What was the results?
What happened is not yet approved for medical therapy, but it's still in trials to prove if it's appropriate. It appears it's working in some preliminary patients, but we just got approval for another 26 patients nationwide to be treated. So I was part of this second cycle and joined the first 26. A total of 50 patients in the country were treated. And as far as I believe, I was the first and only one in Louisiana to enter because the number of patients that were needed were completed rather shortly thereafter. So I participated with them, receiving an infusion of this medication in my veins every 3 weeks for the next 35 cycles, totaling 2 years. So a year ago, almost to the date, in October of 2018, I finished my therapy. About 6 weeks into the therapy, I feel I was getting better. And in about a year, I feel most of the tumors were gone. Year and a half, no tumors were found. So I was declared tumor-free at 18 months into the 24 months of therapy.
That's great.
Basically, that's a brief summary of what happened in the last 3 years.
Yeah, Doc, that is fantastic. So we're going to continue to wish you the best progress, and that the trials will continue with this medication, and that it will help to arrest it in so many other people. And of course, that requires research and money. And so we're going to go back to Kathleen to talk about the fundraising. But Doc, you feel optimistic real quickly before we let you go?
No, absolutely. Not only optimistic, I'm sure I have been cured. Cured could not be declared in cancers, particularly in these malignant cancers. All cancers are malignant, but this cancer, which is really aggressive, until you have been 5 years or so free of cancer. Some people could consider even 10 years. Okay. But in the meantime, I will consider being tumor-free a blessing, very fortunate, and certainly highly, highly, highly recommend the compromise of people with philanthropy to help research, as you already well know, being a participant yourself, as you mentioned, of the LSU Foundation or LSU Health Foundation, and LSU Cancer and the Al Copeland Foundation. That will be the best partnership you can ever think, because it's not only the monies and the cure of a disease or better treatment, but it's also that money grows because more researchers come to town, more funds from the National Cancer Institute are diverted to LSU and to other centers of investigation.
All right.
And that helps. So that goes back also into the local economy.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy your family down in Tampa. You have a great family. Next time you go, holler at me. I might have time to go down with you. I love the Florida sun. Okay. Back in the studio, though, with Kathleen. That was great news, super news about what that means. And, of course, it's going to require more funding, of course. And I don't have a problem asking for the pitch on that. You all are doing some more fundraising. fundraising, of course. Tell us about the next thing coming up.
We're doing fundraising. We got the promise delivered, right, for Merkel cell, but we've opened up 17 more trials. So our goal now has shifted to save all cancers.
Okay.
And so those cancers, we've opened the 17 trials, we've connected the 93 patients, and that takes more research and more money.
What, 1.9 million?
And we've raised 1.9 million so far total, but we need probably 10 million to get it all.
And we got to wrap up real quickly, though. But
so we have a fundraiser.
What's this fundraiser about?
We have a fundraiser coming up. It's called #I Did It for the Turkey. It's with Parkway Bakery and with Port Orleans Beer. And what they do is, if you've ever been to Parkway in November, he does a wonderful Thanksgiving po' boy, and the lines wrap around of 200 people. So if you go on our website, www.alcopelandfoundation.org, you can purchase tickets to skip that line. So you can be VIP, donate, help research.
Okay. Kathleen, thanks for being with us, and we hope that people go out and participate. And again, thanks to the Al Coppola Foundation, and of course, LSU Science Foundation that's trying to keep all this going. We'll be back with more news right after this, so don't go away.
Louisiana needs a hero.
Someone to look after it, preserve it.
We have to do something now.
If everybody took care of their spot, we wouldn't have this conversation.
We all have to do our part.
The power is yours. All you have to do is pick it up.
Care about it. Protect it. Save it.
Be an everyday hero.
Keep Louisiana beautiful.
Well, welcome back to Money Talks. Each month or so, we try to tell you what's going on with this bustling proposed economy downriver at the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, that's where you'll find the Port of Plaquemines right here in Louisiana. And of course, since Venture Global, large company, signed a contract, it's been a buzz down there. Everybody from the business leaders to political people talking about the growth that's expected in that entire area. From Belle Chase to the other parts of the parish. Joining me now on the set, though, is a lady who keeps her thumb and thermometer on the finances of the port, and she's been doing a fantastic job. And that's Miss Shambrell Riley Williams. Welcome to the set.
Hi, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I know
as well.
Usually you're buried in numbers and doing things like that, but we thought it would be pretty neat just for you to come out and talk to us, because I know you all are getting different money, some federal dollars, to do some more improvements along the expansion of the port. So tell us about some of the things.
Correct. So like you have mentioned previously, we have a very large project on hand right now with Venture Global. They are approaching their start date, and at the port we are preparing, getting prepared for that. We have recently received some grants to improve our security, to be in alignment with the growth. We have received some funding for drones, increase in cybersecurity.
And cybersecurity is very important, because with everything going on, with ports being like one of the areas that they really look at in terms of, making sure that that illegal things don't get into the country. So that's a real hot spot for you guys, right?
Exactly. Yes, they have invested in appropriated lots of funding towards cybersecurity over the past few years, because like stated, the ports deal with all of the imports and exports from different countries. So there's a lot of things that's leaving out and a lot of things that's coming in. So security is one of the main subjects that we focus on.
And then you mentioned something about a drone. I mean, you'll have a drone that can kind of go through and see what's going on.
Exactly. We can see and secure the district. We have 82 miles of the Mississippi River, so we're able to operate that drone from a remote location.
That is fantastic. And of course, your rescue boats and the people that work there have done such a great job. I understand that they were given a hats off by the state, and they are being complimented financially.
Yes, they will now be receiving in July of 2020, they should start receiving what the state awards as a first responder supplemental pay. We have also received a grant in regards to our vessels as well. We will be relocating one of our vessels to a more central location to where we can improve our security, like I say, along the 82-mile river. So that will be mid-parish now, and be able to improve our response time to emergencies throughout the parish and district.
And of course, anyone to know that you all would, because they asked that most of the parish, when Barry, Tropical Storm Barry was here, to evacuate. So your folks had to stay there, a lot of them, to be on duty to make sure everything was going okay.
Yes, first respond on the water.
Yeah.
First responders, yes.
Well, of course, the people with the chamber and all the business community is just super excited, and of course, the mayor and the president, as I say, are all excited about expansion for the areas from the cities and towns of Bellchase to Point of Lahash, to you name it, because so many people with all these new jobs will be coming in. So that's a good thing. But of course, that means that the very small office that you all operate will probably need to expand as well.
Yes, exactly. We have Venture Global coming, which is an LNG facility. We also have Plaquemines Liquid Terminal, which will be a storage facility coming. So the port is now moving towards their goals of becoming a landlord port. And with that, we will be expanding our staff to accommodate administratively wise. We're going to be adding a couple of more people on the accounting side to be able to manage the funding and projects and budget for these different locations and projects that the port will be involved in. In the future, we do see the need for some different departments such as commercial, real estate, a director of operations, and a director of human resources to deal with the employment growth.
So you all being very proactive. That's fantastic. Yes. Well, I tell you what, next time your director, Sandy, is out of town, or your deputy director, Paul Matthews, out of town, rest assured, I will call you, because you are the lady with your hand on the information. So I appreciate you coming in.
Thank
and
you.
You'll come back, and of course I'll be down to see you guys and see how things are progressing.
No problem.
Thanks so much for being with us. That was the Chambrel Riley Williams, the comptroller from Plaquemines Port. We'll have more news when we come back, so you don't want to go anywhere. So stay with us. Grab a cup of coffee and stay here.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
Well, welcome back to Money Talks. In the news lately, it seems like all you hear is about crime and the word that juveniles throughout the city and the region are supposedly committing more and more crime. And so we thought we would take a look at that. And to do that, we, of course, got in touch with the Orleans Parish Juvenile Court. And the Orleans Parish Juvenile Court judges over there are very proactive. They're basically trying to take steps with programs to prevent crime, because that's their number one priority. And joining us in the studio today are two wonderful people I had a chance to visit with last weekend, because the court is doing what's called a teen court program, where they ask for volunteers in terms of teens to come in and actually take the roles of, we'll let the man who's the expert tell you more about that. Joining me is an old friend of mine, Dr. Clarence Bickham, who is in charge of the teen court coordinating of that program. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good to see you. And right next to him is a lady I met last weekend. You were the judge on the case, and you, of course, are a Dillard student, a junior. And that's Ashley Berry. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. And
I must say that we're also involved with Dillard University in terms of the OPJC operating, because they're one of the partners that are working with the juvenile court. So, Dr. Bickham, tell us exactly what the teen program is and how it operates. You all just brought it back to Orleans.
Well, Teen Court was in existence prior to Katrina, but after Katrina, we didn't have enough kids and we lost funding. So now we're trying to bring it back. Teen Court is a program where teens are going to be judged by their peers, positive reinforcement and accountability for their actions.
And these will be teens who have gotten in trouble and they're first-time offenders, is that?
Yes, first-time misdemeanor offenders for crimes such as criminal trespass, criminal damage, simple batteries, simple assault, truancy, things of that nature.
Things of that nature. So it's crime along that area.
Yes, sir.
So tell us, how does it work?
Well, the way it works that the judge or even the school board, we're partnering with the school board, and we get cases from them. And with these cases, the young people have already assumed guilt.
So and on the screen there are some of the pictures from last weekend. Go ahead, where the young people took the roles of lawyers and judges. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, teens are already committed to say that they're guilty. So once that, we are not trying to present guilt or innocence. We're there doing a disposition. And the disposition with Teen Court deals out could be either community service, writing an essay. If there's a victim crime, or the apology to the victim. Also, we work with the school board, as I stated, where they have to go to school on a regular basis. We're going to track that on them. Plus behavior at home as well as in the school.
And of course, in some of that, the video earlier pictures, we had the chief judge out there, was Miss Candace Anderson.
Correct.
And the other judge, Desiree Cook Calvin, they were there and actually took pictures with you and the other young lady who were the judges for that day. That must have been a good experience to meet official judges while you were during your volunteer training.
Yes, it was. It was great to, I guess, see where I want to be in the future, 20 years from now, hopefully sooner.
So tell us, why did you do the training? I mean, and I was really surprised. There were so many young people, and I felt so good about that took the time to volunteer that time on a Saturday, no less, to come out and say, hey, I want to be a part of a solution rather than a problem.
Yes, well, I really love what Teen Court is all about, giving these teens a second chance to really turn things around for themselves and see positive role models who are in their age group to come together and, change things around. I also I'm interested in law and going to law school. That's a part of my future. So why not sharpen those skills now and really learn how the courtroom works, how a trial goes, what questions to ask, and even proceeding over a trial, being a sitting judge and doing those things.
Yeah, so that must have been super exciting. So when you get out, when you graduate, and so you plan to go back and then go into law school?
Yes.
That's great. That's great. And is that a part of being from New Orleans that you want to give back because you see and hear so much about juvenile crime?
Yes. It's really becoming a serious problem. Well, I know it's always has been, but it's becoming more prominent now in the news. We see about the carjackings, the car break-ins, and different things. And I really want to be a proponent of change in my community and give back.
That's fantastic. Of course, Mr. Bickham, you've been a part of that process a lot, and you've seen where Teen Court actually works, that it does usually young people who have participated or who had committed a minor crime don't necessarily repeat.
Yes, what we're trying to do here is to take young people out of the criminal justice system, hold them accountable, make sure they feel accountable, and also we're using a restorative justice approach, where it talks about accountability, competency in obstruction of justice. Also have them do things that are not normal for them to do. In other words, be a part of something like Teen Court. One of the things is they got to come back and serve on Teen Court in an aspect of a jury. Then they might work their way up to the prosecutor or defense attorney, and as well as judge.
Yeah. And at the end, I noticed that Judge Cook Calvin had everyone raise their hands that participated and take an oath. What was that?
Well, it was an oath of confidentiality. Everything that goes on in Teen Court stays in Teen Court. And in the beginning of the trial, we have respondents sitting there. We asked the respondent, is there anybody you see in the audience that you know, either in the jury pool or one of the attorneys? Yeah. And if they say yes, that person have to excuse themselves from serving on that particular trial.
Right. Well, we got to wrap up, but if an adult wants to join the advisory committee for teen court, and if they're you all coming up with a new another training soon, how do those young people get in touch?
Well, they could call us at the Juvenile Justice Center, 658-9583, and we're asking all the senior citizens, adults who want to be involved, come be involved. We're also asking businesses to be involved because we need partnerships. We're trying to get some scholarships as well as some community service hours in with businesses. So we want our kids to come out there and see how Mr. Ed Marshall does things.
You all make me proud to be a part of this New Orleans River region. Thank you so much for being with us. Okay?
Thank you.
We'll have to have you all back. All righty. We'll be back with more Money Talks in just a minute. We're going to wrap up the show, so stay right here. Well, there's some good news for adult education program at Delgado Community College. The program has received a one-year $75,000 grant from the United Way of St. Charles Parish. The grant supports the expansion of free adult education programs for residents of St. Charles Parish and surrounding areas in Louisiana. The program began offering classes in St. Charles Parish in August of this year. The additional funding supports expanding class options and times and increasing success coaching services that help students enroll and persist to get a completion of their degree. The program is completely free. Residents of St. Charles Parish can get more information or register online anytime at www.dcc.edu/go/adult.ed. Well, we want to tell you tonight some very sad news. The world of news broadcasting is mourning the loss of two incredible female journalists who touched our lives, and we are forever changed. New Orleans native political commentator and pioneer broadcaster Cokie Roberts has died of breast cancer at the age of 75. She was the daughter of the late legendary politicians Lindy and Hale Boggs. From Japan to Opelika, Alabama, news of the passing of New Orleans Emmy Award-winning journalist Nancy Parker in a plane crash has left all of the state completely just in disbelief. To personally know Nancy and her husband, Glenn Boyd, as I do, was to experience a daily basis to see love in its truest form. She presented her life as she lived it. She lived it well, and she never met a stranger. That's our dear Nancy, and she will always be remembered in our hearts. Well, that's what brings us to the end of the October show for Money Talks. Until next month, I'm Ed Marshall, and we'll see you.